Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. If you are new here, I do all kinds of lifestyle content all around chronic illness, debt. We talk about budgeting and debt a lot, and then just living with chronic illness and living my best life. So that's kind of what this channel is about for the most part. But today I wanted to kind of do like a little sit down chit chat here, because I am coming up, actually when you guys see this, it will be exactly 1 year since I left my job. So I know a few of you have actually found my channel by watching a video that I put up just about a year ago of me deciding to leave my full-time job during a pandemic with nothing else lined up after that. And it was a very scary time, and it's been a very interesting year, and I thought that it would be interesting to update you. I do little updates here and there in the vlog, but I thought that this would be interesting to do like a true update. Also, if you hear little tippy tappies in the background, my little pup just woke up, and it's like having a child. When he wants to be awake, he's awake, and I only have this amount of time to film. So that's where we're at. But I want to talk about like some of the pros and cons that have come from leaving my job a year ago. So we'll start with some of the pros. So pro number one, I would say, is my mental health, which is interesting because I would say that my mental health is also a con, but we'll start with the pro. I think for me that the job that I was in was a very toxic environment. I explained to you guys a little bit in a couple of videos what was going on, but I've never really gone in depth to it because I'm just like not here to like bash an employer online. But it was a very, very toxic environment for me. So when I started that position, I started on like a really wonderful team, and fast forward to less than a year later, my entire team left, and I was the only one still on my team. And then my team changed, and we had a lot of contractors come in, and we had like a new boss come in, and there was just a lot going on, and it just wasn't right for me. I was having a lot of panic attacks. I was having a lot of stress. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating well. It was just terrible. And I have an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. If you're new here, it's autoimmune disease of the thyroid. And while stress affects everyone poorly, it really affects people with Hashimoto's poorly, because stress is like one of the number one triggers of flares in your health and just making you feel worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point, like I've talked about in my other video, where I had my health coach was like, we can keep doing all the diets and all the supplements and all the things, but until you leave the toxic environment, there's nothing we can do for your health. That was a big thing for me, I would say, is that my mental health and my physical health, for the most part, is a pro of leaving. I would say the second pro is I'm getting to do my dream job, which has always been, 5 years ago, if you would have asked me what my dream was, it would have been to be working remote for myself, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm very excited that I was able to make that happen for myself. I have been working with only very aligned clients, and I've had a few kind of in and out projects throughout the year, but I've had 3 main clients that I've worked on pretty much the entire year that I have been on my own, and it's been wonderful. I've had to kind of figure out what worked and what didn't. I had to let a client go. I've had another client let me go. So you just have to kind of figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So that's a really big pro, is that I was able to do my dream job, right? And work for myself. And I think another pro, which kind of goes along with this, is that I've been able to create my own schedule, which has been really, really good for my mental health, for my chronic illness. I would say that the biggest pro for leaving my job has been being able to do what I needed to for my health, which I've never done, right? So I've really been able to focus on my Hashimoto's and making myself feel better and understanding what's going on with how I'm feeling. On days that I'm feeling really badly, I can move around my schedule, or on days that I'm feeling really good, I can be productive and get really ahead on stuff. So it's been really good, not only for my Hashimoto's and my health in general, it's been really good for my productivity, because I'm the type of person that's just never been great at a 9 to 5. For the most part, I'm very productive, I'm very efficient, and I am well ahead of most other people. And I'm not saying that in a way like that I'm better than other people. I'm just saying that I'm very productive and very efficient. So the 9 to 5 has always been difficult for me because in a lot of jobs, I've kind of sat there for half the day and I've asked for more work, and there's not enough work for me to do because I'm very productive, I'm very organized, I get things done well ahead of time, unless it's something that I hate, but I'm very proactive and I get things done. So it's been really good for me to really dig into like my true work style, which is having the flexibility in the middle of the day at 11:20 to film a video if I want to go for a walk in the middle of the day, to go grocery shopping on Thursday mornings, but then also being able to work and get as much work done as I can with the time allotted, depending on how I'm feeling. So that's been like a huge pro for me, is really being able to step into just my work schedule, what works best for me. I wish that more jobs were kind of centered around this. And who knows, maybe as we go into like the remote working type of area that we're going into, maybe more companies will understand this, that the typical 9 to 5 isn't necessarily necessary for everyone. As long as you're getting your work done and you're being trusted by employers, I do wish there was a little bit more flexibility. Obviously, there's some days where I work a lot and I work sometimes on weekends or at night, but maybe that's because during the day I was able to go get lunch with a friend, or I was able to go to doctor appointments all day and I don't have to worry about taking time off. I don't have to worry about anything like that because I've been able to understand my own work schedule, which has been great for me. Okay, so let's go with some of the cons. Like I said, with my pros, one con that I've noticed is also my mental health. So while the panic attacks have ended because of my job, I have been really struggling with loneliness. So not only did I leave my full-time job, so I no longer had constant contact with coworkers, I also moved to a new city where we have absolutely no friends. We have met very few people here. So it's been just very lonely, which has been very hard for my mental health. And it's not necessarily just leaving my job that started that, but it is easier, you know, when you work at a company and you can like Slack people throughout the day, or every now and then my coworkers and I would have like a Zoom meeting and we would talk about stuff. And I do meet with one of my clients in particular, actually 2 of my clients I meet with pretty regularly. And then I try to like do little calls with a few of my friends every now and then. But I would say that that has been a little bit hard on my mental health. And then in general, I've just had a really bad mental health year. I've kind of been up and down, mostly depression. Honestly, when I was working in my full-time job, I was very anxious and I had a lot of panic going on. And since leaving that, I feel like a lot of my anxiety and panic has subsided, but my depression has kicked in. So it's been a really hard year as far as my mental health goes. I do feel like my physical health is getting better and I have a little bit more space to focus on that, which has been really, really great for me. But my mental health, I would say, is like, there's like a pro and a con, so they kind of even each other out as to where they're at. I do think if I were able to, you know, maybe do some part-time work for someone within Raleigh that I could go and see every now and then, or if I could just like make some friends in the Raleigh area, that would probably help me a lot. And I'm thinking about looking into, you know, there's like entrepreneurship groups and stuff like that. And I don't know if maybe there's some here and now. I don't want to say like COVID subsiding because I don't know that that's true, but with, you know, having a little bit more flexibility with being able to go places now available, maybe there's some sort of group or something that I can join in the area. So if you're from Raleigh, or if you're from anywhere and you know of groups like that, particularly like women groups, let me know in the comments below, because I would really love to find something like that where I can not only network, but like maybe make some friends. That would be, I think, really helpful for me. Now, I would say the biggest con for me in all of this has been money. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I was making a very good amount of money at my previous job. I worked in Chicago and I had kind of hit that ceiling of how much I was going to make unless I started to get into like a director role or started managing people. And I've only worked at small companies, so I haven't had that opportunity. One thing is the type of clientele that I wanted to work with. I couldn't charge, $80, $90 an hour for these like one person small businesses. So I started out charging pretty low, and because of that, it's been really hard to kind of bump up that pricing because I don't want to lose the clients that I already have, right? And I've lost out on a lot of clients because I've found that within like the virtual assistants, social media management role, people kind of expect like a $15 to $25 an hour person, but I have 11 years of experience, like $20 an hour. And I'm not trying to like bash anybody that is taking that amount of money, but when you're making, almost six figures and then you are being asked to be paid, $15 to $20 an hour to do the same type of work that you were doing, it's really hard to kind of figure that out. So I would say that I haven't really figured out my pricing model, which has been hard for me. And yeah, I think this year I will basically hit like a third, maybe a little bit under a third of how much I actually made in my full-time job, which is amazing. The fact that I made a good amount this year with just 3 consistent clients is still great. And I'm really only working 60 hours a month. So what is that? 20, 40, 60. That's less than 20 hours a week, basically. Like 10 to 15 hours a week is how much I'm working. So I definitely have room for more clients and more space to do stuff. And if I had a few more clients on my docket, I definitely would be able to bring in at least a little bit higher of an income than I am right now. But money has been really scary. And when I left my job a year ago, we had $10,000 in the bank saved, which we have unfortunately blown through, and we've had to dig into 2 more savings that we had from other things that Ben is in. And we're kind of on our last little thing right now, our last little puddle of money that we happen to have. And so it's been really scary. We have a lot of debt. We've talked about filing for bankruptcy. We have talked about getting new jobs, all that kind of stuff. And it's really hard because I think Ben and I both had expected that in this last year that his business would have taken off. So we were kind of counting on his business bringing in more money. And then so we wouldn't be in such a bad place monetarily, but his business kind of stayed the same. So he's done things like doing Uber Eats, which has brought in some money for the month. He's also doing like a little bit of work for a football company, but he's not really being paid for that work. I talked about this in a different vlog if you guys listened. But yeah, so he's just had these little tiny side projects, but we've had nothing consistent and nothing anywhere near what we were doing before. And honestly, our expenses are very high. We have like $120,000 worth of debt between student loans and like regular debt. I think our payments each month are almost $2,000 between all of them. And then, our rent is $1,600. And then if you add, utilities and stuff and all the stuff for the house, let's just say that it's like $2,000, even though I think it's a little bit less than that. So even just for like basics, that's not even counting food, we need to be bringing in like $4,000 a month. And then if you add on top of that, I think our expenses are like over $5,000 a month, and we're not bringing in $5,000 a month most months. So it's just a really tricky place to be. It's been a really hard hit on our relationship. It's been a hard hit on my mental health, and it's been just a hard hit in general. And we're kind of in this place now where we're deciding what we're going to do. So I've been applying for part-time jobs, for other jobs. I have applied for a couple of full-time jobs if they've been something that I'm really interested in. And there's actually one opportunity that reached out to me that I'm super interested in their initiative, but I'm kind of just leaving it up to the universe that like it'll work out if it works out. Now, I will say, I personally feel like I'm not supposed to, in God and universe language, I'm not supposed to go back to a full-time job because I think that there's a lesson here, but we're kind of in that place where like we have to figure something out because we don't have much money to get us through the next few months. It's been a very, very stressful year with money. We haven't done great with saving for taxes because we needed every penny that we were bringing in. Yeah, so we're just kind of in like a scary place trying to figure out what we're doing moving forward. Ben has been having a really hard time finding any type of part-time work that, he still wants to keep up with his business. So what does he do? Give up his business to go work at Starbucks? No, we don't want him to do that. But at the same time, we have to be bringing in some money. So we're in kind of a tight spot. Like I said, I've been interviewing with companies for either part-time or full-time work. I've been putting stuff out there to bring on new clients. In fact, I had one new client sign on, so that's really good. And we'll kind of see how it goes. I'm downplaying definitely how scary of a situation we're in right now. I will say that we're privileged in the fact that even if the worst thing happens and we get evicted from our house, we have people in our life that we can go to if we need to. We're not going to be left on the street. It'll definitely be difficult, but I'm trying to remind myself that there are people out there who literally have no place to go, and we do, but we're trying not to get to that point. So we're trying to figure it out in the meantime, and hopefully we will. And I'm continuing to share our journey over here because I know that there's people out there that understand this. I think everybody sees all of these online businesses and coaching programs and things like that go crazy, and people make hundreds of thousands of dollars every month, and that's so cool. But that doesn't happen to most people. And Ben has been trying to build his coaching business for years, and he has some really solid clients, and he's an amazing coach, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way for everyone. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I have a podcast, I have this blog or this vlog that I really love, I blog sometimes, and those are all things that I really love to do. I love to write fictional content, so I want to write a book and all this stuff, but it's really hard to focus on creativity when you need to be doing something to bring in money, right? So that's kind of where we're at. Those are the pros and cons of leaving my job and how I'm feeling. I will never once forget the day that I was sitting in this chair across from me and I told Ben, I truly cannot do it anymore and I need to leave today. We were like, okay, we're gonna do it. And the feeling that I felt in my body of just this relief, it makes me want to cry every time I think about it. It was 100% the right decision for me to leave that position. But now I'm in the place where I need to figure out the rest of my life. Does that mean going back to a job that I'm really passionate about? That's what I would prefer. Or finding more clients to bring on so that I can continue to grow my little marketing business on the side here. But that's where we're at. We're kind of in, I don't know how to put it. I'm very grateful for the last year that I've had, and I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned, but it's also been a really fucking hard year. It's been a really hard year. I would never tell past me not to make the decision. The decision that I made was right, but it doesn't mean that it was easy. It doesn't mean that this year we are making 200 grand a year and we're just living our best life. That's not what's happening. But I know as far as my personal, mental, physical health, it was the right decision to make. And now we just need to adjust. We just need to figure out what's going to work for us, what's not going to work for us, what we need to do in the meantime so that we can build up a little bit more equity. Is equity the right word? Build up a little bit more of our savings account again, pay off some debt, figure out some stuff. That's where we're at. If any of you are the praying type or the loving type and you want to send good vibes our way over the holiday season, I will definitely receive them. I will be sending them out to people who have less than me because I know that while we're in a really tough spot, there are people that always have it worse. And I want to recognize that and send out my love to those people, but I also am totally open to receiving love and prayers and hope from people out there that want to send it to me. Totally open to receiving that love through the computer screen. So thank you so much for watching my channel. I really do appreciate it. I really enjoy taking you guys through this journey of my life and showing the real side of it, and that it's not always easy for everybody. That's just my story right now, is things aren't easy and we're figuring it out as we go. And I think that there's a lot of you out there that probably understand and have gone through similar things. So I hope that this is helpful for you, or even if you've never been something like that, to just give perspective of like, not everything that you see online is all rainbows and butterflies, and sometimes there's some really hard work within it. But hopefully this next year is just going to be so great, and I can't wait to look back and understand the lessons that I learned in this year. I'm still kind of in those lessons right now, which makes it hard, right? Because when you're in a lesson, you're like, this sucks so much, but I'm trying to stay positive and trying to work through it. And I really appreciate all of your support and your love. But thank you so much for watching this video. If there's anything else you want us to dive into more or deeper, let me know. I can always have Ben on the channel and he could talk about his experience and how he's feeling. He has been doing a little bit more on his channel, so I will link his channel down below so you guys can go and check it out if you're interested in seeing his perspective on what's been going on with his life and having to make changes. But if you ever want to see him on this channel, let me know, and we will definitely take you through how we're feeling when it comes to this stuff. I know that a lot of you guys really are interested in the financial content, and while I'm not in a place right now mentally where I can share with you our budget every month like I used to do a couple years ago, I would be happy to share my experience and what we're doing as two self-employed people just trying to make it right now. I'm happy to share that. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.